Published 0846 Est, the 16th of November 2017. Updated 1802 Est, the 16th of November 2017. President Donald Trump this morning lauded China's deployment of a special envoy to North Korea. A big move. We'll see what happens, the United States president said, a cautiously optimistic tweet. China on Wednesday said it would send a high-level diplomat to North Korea on Friday, a week to the day after Trump's cogent visit to Beijing. It's the first time in 2 years that Chinese representation will be in Pyongyang. White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said Thursday, in response to a question posed by DailyMail.com, that Trump was favorable to the visit but wouldn't disclose whether it came up in last week's talks. The president certainly favors China taking a greater role in putting maximum pressure on North Korea. This is one of the things that he and President Xi spoke extensively about over the course of our visit, she said. Scroll down for video. President Donald Trump this morning lauded China's deployment of a special envoy to North Korea. He's seen above with foreign counterpart Xi Jinping last Friday. China on Wednesday said it would send a high-level diplomat to North Korea on Friday, a week to the day after Trump's cogent visit to Beijing, on certainly any effort in order to denuclearize the peninsula there in North Korea, then China participating in that. The president certainly supports those efforts. Xi hinted last week during a joint press statement with Trump that Beijing's diplomats were still in contact with North Korea behind the scenes when he said that China will and strictly implement UN Security Council resolutions on Kim Jong-un's regime while continuing dialogue and negotiation. Song Tao, head of the International Liaison Department of the Communist Party of China, will travel to North Korea on Friday. Beijing announced yesterday that Song Tao, a senior diplomat with the Communist Party of China, would visit North Korea on Friday. The official purpose of Song's travel is to provide an overview of the 19th Party Congress, according to state-owned news service Xinhua. Song may also be on a mission to open a dialogue with Pyongyang about the nation's nuclear aggression. Liu Yunshan is the last Chinese diplomat to have met with Kim, the Associated Press reported. That was in 2015, before North Korea's hydrogen bomb tests. Trump said Wednesday, in unexpected remarks from the White House, that Chinese President Xi Jinping recognizes that a nuclear North Korea is a grave threat to China. We agreed that we would not accept a so-called freeze-for-freeze agreement, like those that have consistently failed in the past, Trump said. We made that time is running out, and we made it clear. And all options remain on the table. The president said last week, during a Friday flight from Beijing to Da Nang, Vietnam, that he had a long talk with Xi during his visit, in which he told the foreign leader he'd like to him ratchet it up on North Korea. I think he's doing that, Trump added. We were together for hours. And we get along very well, Trump told journalists. And we talked a lot about North Korea. We talked about a lot of things. We talked a lot about North Korea, Trump said Wednesday, in unexpected remarks from the White House, that Chinese President Xi Jinping recognizes that a nuclear North Korea is a grave threat to China. In his speech Wednesday, the president brought up China in the context of trade and said, "We can no longer tolerate unfair trading practices that steal American jobs, wealth and intellectual property. The days of the United States being taken advantage of are over." Asked Thursday by DailyMail.com whether Trump still believes that China is raping the U.S. economy, as he once said, Sanders claimed that Trump had been clear about his position. The president knows that there hasn't been fair and reciprocal trade with China. He doesn't think that we've had great ideals in place with China, she said. He's been very clear, and he was very clear directly with President Xi, which will continue to be, that we want to make sure that Americans, and American workers in particular, are getting the best deal and the best pieces possible. In tweets on Wednesday after the announcement that Song was going to North Korea, Trump insisted he has a great relationship with Xi as he furiously refuted coverage that was critical of his trip to Asia. He mentioned trade specifically in an apparent reference to the scrutiny he has received for his empty-handed return from China. Trump lit into the New York Times after it published a piece boiling down his accomplishments, in his own words, to the relationship he now has with Pacific Rim leaders, like Xi and Vladimir Putin. They should realize that these relationships are a good thing, not a bad thing. The U.S. is being respected again. Watch trade, Trump tweeted. Trump lit into the New York Times after it published a piece boiling down his accomplishments, in his own words, to the relationship he now has with Pacific Rim leaders, like Xi and Vladimir Putin. Trump mentioned trade in an apparent reference to the scrutiny he has received for his empty-handed return from China shortly before the tirade. China said it would deploy a special envoy to North Korea a week to the day after the visit to Beijing that Trump is calling a bonanza. It's the first time in 2 years that Chinese representation will be in Pyongyang. Chinese President Xi Jinping will hold a grand ceremony to welcome U.S. President Donald Trump at the square outside the East Gate of the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, capital of China. Trump said Friday during a flight from Beijing to Da Nang, Vietnam, that he had a long talk with Xi in which he told the foreign leader he'd like to hear him ratchet it up on North Korea. "I think he's doing that," the U.S. President said hours after he arrived in Beijing. Trump was raving about the grandiose welcome ceremony and the exclusive tour of the Forbidden City that Xi put on for him. Trump secured $250 billion in tentative agreements for U.S. companies, but the contracts were paper-thin. Assertions that South Korea and Vietnam are on the verge of purchasing massive amounts of U.S. military equipment were also yet to materialize. Hours after he arrived in Beijing, Trump was raving about the grandiose welcome ceremony and the exclusive tour of the Forbidden City that Xi put on for him. He told business leaders during a signing ceremony that he does not blame China, a country he once accused of raping the U.S. economy, for taking advantage of past administrations' incompetency. "We have an amazing feeling toward each other. And HES for China and for USA. You know, it's one of those things. But we have a great feeling," he said of Xi as he traveled from Beijing to Vietnam. Trump said he spoke to Xi about China's intellectual property theft, which the president acknowledged has a price tag of about $300 billion a year. "We talked about it. But I said, we're friends, but this is a different administration than you've had for the last 30 years, he said, bringing South Korea and Japan's trade deficits into the discussion. "And I don't blame any of those countries. I blame the people that we had representing us who didn't know what they were doing. Because they should have never let it happen." He said Xi committed to stopping the nuclearization of North Korea, a declaration Trump cast as underreported. "That's a big statement. He made that statement, and a lot of people didn't pick that up," Trump assessed. "I said, wow, that's a big statement." Continuing, Trump said, "He's the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao Zedong. Some people say more powerful than Mao. With that being said, I really believe he's a good person, he's a good man, he wants to do right, he's representing his people. He's strong, he's very strong. But you know, you look at some of what you saw was very impressive. It was very impressive." He told reporters on the flight back to Washington that he'd had a great trip and had done a really fantastic job. "It's also been really good, in terms of North Korea and getting everybody together. I think their acts are all together. China has been excellent," Trump said. In Beijing, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson insisted there's no space between the United States and China's objectives in North Korea. President Trump, our president, has been very clear with President Xi that he takes the view that you are a very powerful neighbor of theirs. You account for 90+% of their economic activity. You're a strong man. You can, I'm sure, solve this for me, Tillerson said. And so he was very clear with him and said he believes it can be solved.